Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Garrison Gaddy. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And even if you have friends, family, or foes that just happen to be Buckeyes, be sure to point them to this channel or the other ones that we have at the Voice of College Football, such as Oklahoma, North Carolina, the team of North, Oregon, etc., and more. Also, if you haven't checked it out already, everybody, uh, I know a lot of people may not be aware, but we do have a website that my guy Cliff did a very good job on. But there, everyone, you can go and see the schedule for all of our shows. You can also go and check out some of our awesome writers that we have here at the Voice of College Football and show host. If you would like to become a member of the Voice of College Football, please be sure to click on the join button there at the bottom of the screen. There you'll see the 3 tiers that we have, the Block O Club. Moving on next to JT wasn't short because we know that he wasn't. And then we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. So again, be sure to check out all that good stuff. If you would also like to join us on Instagram, we do daily material there also, and you also catch us on any audio platform such as Apple or Spotify. By the way, just a few in-house things. Uh, if you didn't know, last week was our co-host Ryan's last show. Got good promotion over his job as a writer. He's really good at that. One of the I've read a few of his articles and actually great work. If you haven't already, go ahead and check some of his stuff out over in Oklahoma. I know he does some stuff for the for some Indiana teams. I think the Pacers. So go ahead and check that out, everybody. But just want to let you guys know that he is now gone, and from here on out, I will be your host. Now, maybe there might be some changes there. Who knows? But right now, I think we're gonna rock with this. My goal is to be able to bring you guys weekly or bi-weekly guests to talk college football. Because I do think it's nice to get a different perspective other than just an Ohio State fan, maybe some national people, Ohio State writers, etc. So, yeah, I just want to let you guys know about that. And I also get through like a rundown of the show to everybody. We'll be going over Julian Sayin's interview. Also want to talk about who do you think I think will lead the team this season. Then after halftime, we will be having Max Chadwick of PFF joining us, football analyst and of the college football show on PFF there. Yes, he will be joining us at 7:30. Really excited to have that happen and see what those numbers over at PFF say about the current Buckeye team that we have and the past one. So now that we're here, let's get started. So recently, and I will post the full article here. Steve Helligan of 247 Bucknuts, he had posted the some of the excerpt of the Julian Sayin interview from this past week, and there was some interesting stuff in there that I wanted to talk about, and one of them including being about the QB battle that's going on in Columbus right now. So one of the questions he was asked was, what do you feel like are the biggest ways you've been able to grow this offseason? Julian Sayin's response was, I think I've grown in just understanding more about the game, watching tape, being able to match routes with my feet. Love hearing stuff like that. And my drop and all those things. So for Julian Sayin, for those who maybe forgot or didn't know, he commits to Alabama while Nick Saban is still there. Then Nick Saban retires. And then he chooses to then call Ryan Day, and he asks him, do you have room for me? And of course, Ryan Day says, yeah. And at the time, you got to remember, Aaron Nolan now over at South Carolina playing for the Gamecocks and Beamer, he was already there still. He was a top 10 quarterback also, just like Julian Sayin. But Julian Sayin still decides to ask and come over there, which I do think that says a lot about him, the fact that he's good on competing for the job. And of course, if you come to Ohio State, no matter what the job, but especially quarterback, because there's only one spot for it. He knew the kid had to compete. And as of right now, also he knows that he's been able to work on his game. Last year, there's some things he played sparingly, right? It's not like you can honestly take what we saw from last year and truly judge it. I would say the same in the spring game, and though I think he did play very well in the spring game, I thought he showed some confidence in his throws. Did like to see him at one point run the ball near the goal line. Got hit pretty hard, but that's what you want to see. He's a willing runner, right? But I do think those are things are important. Also, for a young guy watching tape. Watching tape is not always the easiest thing to do. Everyone does it. I mean, I remember being in high school watching tape. The following Sunday after church, Saturday after our games, and I would struggle. It's not that easy to learn early on in your career. Even when I went to college and played football, wasn't easy. It just isn't, because you sometimes you don't know what you're looking for until you know, right? So I do think that it's good to hear Julian say these things. I do believe that those are the things that the game of football is 50% physical, 50% mental, and this is the mental part. Of that's mental, going through your routes, matching it with your feet. That's physical, of course, but awesome things to hear from Julian there. Next, one of the other more interesting things I took from it. The question was to finish spring the way you did in the that funny question, the way it was worded, but to finish spring the way you did in the spring game, how important was that for you to kind of build momentum going into camp? Sayin says, yeah, I think it was definitely fun to get out there in the spring game and have a good showing with the offense. The receivers made a lot of great plays, and the running backs made some good plays too. The O-line did a great job up front. Now, the reason I pulled this is because that's exactly what you want to hear out of your quarterback. One of the things I loved about Will Howard was that anything bad that happened on the team, whether it be his fault or not, he would take on the chin. He would take it as his own fault. Look back at that first Oregon game in Eugene. I stand by my opinion that we did not lose that game because of Will Howard. Now, everyone's going to sit there and point to that last play of the game when he slid. I get it. It stands out, right? But in that second half, Ohio State could not run the ball at all. But he was still able to go out there, complete passes, and keep Ohio State in the game and put Ohio State in a winning position in one of the toughest places to play in college football at night, against one of the best teams in college football, who went undefeated in the regular season and won the Big Ten, had the number 1 seed. So love hearing that. But he always gave the credit, or he gave the credit, and he always pointed out what his teammates were doing well and how they were doing. And that's why, he talks about his receivers making great plays. He talks about the running back making some good plays too. And mind you, the running back was very, very young, 4 freshmen in there. The O-line did a great job up front. Again, those are the things you want to hear out of your quarterback. I love it. I think we'll talk about this later in the show, but I do believe Julian Sayin is going to be the guy. So when you hear these things come out of his mouth, whether it be like the first question and answer on the mental part of the game and the physical, you get to this and you see his leadership. You see that he's going in the right direction. Fourth one here, he says, the question is, how do you feel like you and Lincoln are making each other better? He says, yeah, we definitely have a competition room. Me, Lincoln, Tabby, that being Tavian St. Clair, and Eli, the transfer, and all the guys. It's definitely fun. It's competitive, but we have each other's backs no matter what. Again, leadership. Those are leadership quotes. When you look back to last year, you will see Will Howard say the same thing when people were asking him about between him, Devin Brown, and Julian Sayin, and Aaron Oland. He talked about how they're all pushing each other and how they all have each other's backs. Yes, you are competing, but at the end of the day, you are still one band, one sound, right? Kind of an example here, like when I was in the Navy. In your division, like only so many people in the Navy are allowed to go out to the next rank. Not only are you competing against people around the Navy in general, but you're also competing with people in your own office or your own department to get that next rank. At the same time, though, we're all there to push each other, all help each other, all take a bullet for each other if need be. So, you love hearing that. Again, it sounds like there's a healthy competition going on in that room. Especially I would assume between him and Lincoln. I like hearing that Lincoln is pushing him. I think Lincoln is pushing him. Not I don't think he's pushing him to be a starter, but I think he's pushing him to be better because I don't think Lincoln is a slouch. I think 3 years in this system under Ryan Day's tutelage, I would assume that Lincoln has called on. Of course, Lincoln being out of high school was a project type of player, big athlete type of kid. But love hearing that. Another one here. Is that something that you embrace, just being in that competitive room? Sam says, yeah, it's definitely he said, yeah, it's definitely, like I said, it's definitely good to have a competitive room because it brings the best out of each other. But off the field, we have each other's backs no matter what we're supporting. Yeah, exactly. And then here's the last one I want to talk. The last one I want to talk about. By the way, everyone, again, the article is there in the chat if you would like to check it out. I'm only going through 4 or 5 of them. There's about double that, triple that in the article that you could read from Steve Hellwagon. But the question here is, Ryan Day has talked about leaders needing to step up on his team. Even though you're only a second-year guy, do you feel like you have the responsibility to be a leader this year? Sand says, yeah, definitely. I think we definitely need important leadership just because of how many players we lost last year. We had such an older team. We have a younger team this year, but it's definitely important to have these leaders step up and embrace that role. True words there from Julian. I think we all understand that. We all know that. And again, here leading into the next segment, we'll talk about who I believe will be some of those leaders. Also want to hear what you believe also, some of the guys that you think that can be leaders on this Ohio State football team. But when you think about this football team, this upcoming season in 2025, it is young. Now, there are upperclassmen in important positions. You have Caleb Downs at safety. You have Davis Ignosin at corner as a senior. You have guys like Caden Curry, who's a senior on the defensive line. You have, who else can we name? Carson Hensman, who's been a starter at center, played in the playoffs. Now he's coming back this season. These are some tenured guys on the team that you can, go get behind, right? But at the same time, you do need guys to step up. I think about that 2014 Ohio State team, who most people will tell you that Ohio State team won it a year early. And the reason they feel like that is because it was a really young team. Ezekiel Elliott was a sophomore. Michael Jenkins. There's so many guys on that team who were young, and so I think that I think Bosa. Yeah, Joey Bosa was a sophomore on that team too. So you look at that, you look at this team here where you have like guys like Jeremiah Smith, who's a sophomore. You have guys, who else can you name, man? Edric Houston's a sophomore. My goodness, Arvell Reese, sophomore. There's just a lot of young guys on this team that you have to expect to show up in new roles, as we talked about last week. So yeah, again, go ahead and check out the article from Steve Hellwagon of 247 Bucknuts. A lot of good things in there, but these are just some of the things that I thought I wanted to point out about Julian Sayin. I do believe that he's stepping into his role as a leader. A guy like him is not handpicked by Nick Saban unless Nick Saban believes that guy has leader traits, especially at the quarterback position. I think the same can be said for Ryan Day. He puts a lot on his quarterbacks. I mean, a lot. He's never. The guy has never named a starter before the fall. Before the fall. So, which means he puts them through the ringer. So again, great stuff there from Julian Sayin. Awesome questions asked by the reporters. Really looking forward to seeing what he turns into this year. Before we continue, I see my guy Jam is here, or my ladies. I say guys, sorry, Jam. Good to see you in here. She's one of the best that you can find on here. Friend of the show. See what you say here. Jam says, I saw an interview with a bunch of players asking if they would want to have another week of vacation or get back to work. Everyone said back to work except Keenholz. He wanted vacation. Okay, that's actually crazy to hear out of Lincoln. But when I hear that out of Lincoln, that makes me think of Blue Mountain State. Jan, have you seen Blue Mountain State? It's a old football what do you show is a satire though, right? It's kind of like The Office where you take, satires, you take the extreme of something. But the backup quarterback on there, he was always partying and trying to have fun. I'm not saying that's Lincoln for exactly, but no, that's funny because I could imagine why the backup quarterback. He's the coolest guy on the team after the starting quarterback. So that's crazy, but I can kind of understand that. Morris Curry, thank you for showing up here today, enjoying the show. Says, long live the Buckeyization, all hell Buckeye Nation. Oh, I love that. I'm going to say that again. Long live the Buckeye Nation, all hell Buckeye Nation. That's a beautiful quote. Friend of the show and actually part of the Voice of College Football Network now, Doreen says, hello, gang, and no. What do you mean no? What do you mean no? No to what? But by the way, everybody, if you haven't already, please, every Sunday, and Doreen, you're going to kill me because I feel like it's 8. I want to say 8. No, at 9:00 p.m. on Sundays. Yes, I remembered. 9:00 p.m. on Sundays. Everyone go out, check out the ladies of the Boys College Show with Doreen and Manny. Awesome show. Was there last night. An hour of good football conversation and just good talk in general. It really is awesome. A lot of people from the Voice of College Football Network from different fan bases are showing up to that show, and it's good to see because I think that show can go a long way, and it's going to go a long way. Doreen, good to see you in here. Wait, what you say? Do y'all see NASCAR McCoy has Michigan on his list? So who's NASCAR McCoy? I don't know who NASCAR. I don't know who that is. Wait. Oh, I got it right. Yeah, I said 9 p.m. All right, cool. And no to Sayin. What part did you mean no to? I'm trying to think. Like you don't want Julian Sayin to start? Why not? But Neil Harris, thank you for showing up today on Ohio State Primetime. Since GLC, I might be out of touch. What does GLC mean? Am I? Oh my gosh, I'm getting old, guys. I'm 32. You got to help me out here. But before we continue, everybody, please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you would like to donate to the show, that's awesome. The only thing we ask for here at the Boys College Football is that you hit that like button. It goes a long way. Truly love if you could do that. Also, if you haven't already, everyone check out the website we have at VOCFB. I'm sorry, not at, but www.vocfb.com, where you can check out all the writers and check out all the hosts of the shows that we have to offer. It's all great work on there that we have here. I'm trying to tell you what we do here at the Boys College Football is next level. And the best part about it is that we are able to have you be a part of the show. It's not just us talking to you and you listening. It's a partnership here. You guys are the voice of the college football as much as we are. So thank you for being here and joining us. Next, of course, like I said, going from Julian Sayin's last answer, let's talk about this. Who are this year's leaders of Ohio State? Now, I'm going to read this quote here from Ryan Day so that, oh, good luck, Asian is. That's okay. Oh, man. Yeah, Jam. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Yeah, when I was in the Navy, man, acronyms for everything. FML, yeah, we know what that means, Doreen. My goodness, that's what Oregon fans when they see Ohio State. But I want to read this quote, everyone, from Ryan Day. I think it's a really important quote. He says, "It's been going good. The guys have been working really hard this summer." And he said, this is on the Barbie Carpenter Show, by the way, everybody. If you haven't checked out the Barbie Carpenter Show, please go there and check it out. It's an awesome show. Love listening to Bobby, one of my favorite Ohio State players and linebackers of all time. Grew up watching him with it was Bobby Carpenter, Anthony Schlegel at left linebacker, and in the middle you had AJ Hawk. I just remember being that Sports Illustrated cover when they all got their long locks out and they're all like that. One of the best football covers I've ever seen. But I continue here. Ryan Day continues here, and I think that the biggest challenge has been the leadership, figuring out who the guys are that can going to step up. When you look at last year's team, there are guys returning like Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles, guys who have been in some leadership roles in the past, but a lot of players now have to step up into more prominent roles in that area. Like I said earlier, and as Ryan Day said here, you bring up guys like Sonny Styles, going to be a junior this season. Caleb Downs, another guy who's going to be a junior. More than likely, it definitely is Caleb Downs last season. I think it's right to assume that this is going to be Sonny Styles last season, his second year at the linebacker spot. And a lot of guys see him as a role model and as a leader on this team already, along with Caleb Downs. But I do think that there have to be guys that are younger that had to step into these leadership roles. Now, some of the names I have here, Styles and Downs, of course, already. Davison Igbinosun. Some people want to credit him for it, some people don't. I'll tell you what. I do credit Davison Igbinosun for as a catalyst of the change of the BIA room alongside with Coach O.G. Walt. Davison Igbinosun, freshman All-American over at Ole Miss before transferring to Ohio State. Emotional guy, passionate football player. They call football controlled chaos. I think he's the definition of that. Awesome player. Came back because he had some things to work on. And everyone knew he had some things to work on. I think he's going to be one of the best corners. Like if David Igbinosun stops holding, he's going to be one of the best corners in college football. But I do think it's important that he steps up this season. Another name that I have here, Austin Sarabeld. And I think this is actually one of the more important names that I'm going to talk about here. Sarabeld last year struggled early in the season when he had some playing time. I do think that, listen, he was a young player. And me personally, there was a moment in time when I did not care to see him again playing. I thought, listen, if he's going to be playing like that, let's just get some of these younger guys in that are younger than him to see what they can do. But then he comes out of this past season. And, before the season, they're all working with Coach Mig Moriarty, the strength and conditioning coach over at Ohio State, one of the best in the business. And he wins Iron Buckeye, which that says a lot about him. So he's a hard worker. Not but one, he shows he's a hard worker. Two, it shows that he has developed. And where I thought that really showed is when they came out a few months ago, and for Austin Sarabeld, the question was, is he going to play at right guard or is he going to play at right tackle? Of course, we bring in Phillip Daniels from Minnesota, and there's a chance that he might go ahead and start there. I mean, CBS had him on the top 150 players coming into college football this season. But they go out and said a few months ago, Austin Sarabeld is going to start. We just don't know where yet. Now, I think right now we can kind of assume that it's going to be at right tackle and Tecker is going to be the right guard. But that's the second thing I look at. And the third and most important thing is leadership. That's how you get the Iron Buckeye Award. And so I think that coming to this season, Austin Sarabeld, especially being on that offensive line with guys who are tenured, such as Carson Hinsman, is going to be an Integra, because being a second-year starter, I think he could be a guy that could, show his voice in the locker room, show his voice on the field, in the war room when they're watching film and going over practice and games. I think Austin Sarabeld can be a guy that leads this team. I really believe that, and I'm pulling a clear 180 on Austin Sarabeld, and I'm happy about that because at the end of the day, he's an Ohio State Buckeye, and I will back Buckeyes no matter what, for good reasons only. Then Jeremiah Smith. Jeremiah Smith. We'll stay there. Jeremiah Smith not only is the best player on the offense, he's the best player at Ohio State. He's the best player in the Big Ten, and he's the best player in college football. Jeremiah Smith, we talked about before, he's a naturally quiet guy, but recently he's been talking more. It's not that he's saying anything outlandish. He goes and says he doesn't want to lose to Ohio State anymore. I mean, to Michigan anymore. And that's what you want to hear out of your guys. I truly believe that Jeremiah is stepping into his own right now, from being a shy star to being a talkative. I don't want to say talkative. I think that'd be the wrong way to say it, but he's voicing his opinion on, not voicing his opinion, but he's putting his voice out there. And that's what you want to hear. And of course, what he does on the field, he leads that way. But I think it is important when you're one of the best players in college football and on your team that you need to go out there and show your voice for your team. When you're leading, you can't just do it by example. You have to use your voice. Like I said in the Navy, that's what guys do. When I was a petty officer, I can go out and do my job, but it's important that I go out there and show guys how to do it. It's important that I give them encouragement. And I think that's the thing that Jeremiah Smith can do. Last guy I'm going to talk about here is Carnell Tate. I think he's one of the more overlooked Ohio State players, one of the most overlooked players in college football. Junior season, last year kind of took, I don't want to say it took a third wheel, but that's how most people will look at it. But I do believe that he would be most people's wide receiver one. I think he had a really successful year, over 700 yards last year with guys like Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka, first round a pick this past NFL draft. You know, if you know Carnell Tate's story, where he's from in Chicago, his mother passing away, you know, those are guys that I think that have lived longer than most people at their age. And I think that he's mature beyond his age on top of that. And so I do think that and though he's another quiet guy, he truly is. But I think he's one of those players that can voice, put their voice out there on top of what they do on the field. You know, he's a very smooth guy, and I think that maybe that sometimes when you're that smooth, it can you tend to not talk as much. But would love to see him step into this role this upcoming season. Would love to hear what you guys think in the comments. Who do you think is going to step up this year as a leader? I did think about putting Edric Houston. This is going to be his first year starting. I do think he's going to be the best defensive lineman we have this season, just in terms of his pure talent. When you look at what he can do on the inside, being a longer defensive tackle, taller defensive tackle. Bo Atkinson, maybe it was his first year at Ohio State. Not sure what he can. Actually, honestly, I mean, Will Howard came in last year. And I think most people would say that he was the leader of Ohio State this past championship season. So maybe Bo Atkinson can be that guy. So, let me know in the comments, everybody. What do you think? We'd love to know what you think about the leadership this upcoming season. Who do you think it will be? Did I miss out on anybody? Maybe I said someone's name that you don't think will be a leader. Maybe you don't think Austin Cerebell can be that guy. But go ahead and do that. But before we do and move on, message here from the voice of college football. Get your business, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the Voice of College Football, and let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. The Voice of College Football is a growing network with a large following, so let's find out how we can help you grow with us. Check out the experience of one of our current partners posted here on the screen, that being Win Agency, and we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships@vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships at vocfb.com today. Now, everyone, I'm really excited for this. One of the I only watch so many shows because I'm busy trying to do this here and get this ready for you all, and I also don't like people changing my thoughts on how I feel about my Buckeyes. But there's a few shows I like to look at, and one of them is PFF's college football show. So everyone, I would love to bring on Max Chadwick of the PFF college football show, PFF football analyst, and I want to point this out, Dalton Wasserman is also on that show because I honestly didn't want to miss that. He's awesome too. But Max, glad to have you here. How are you?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. I appreciate it. There's no need to shout out Dalton, though. I think we're cool with not shouting out right there.
Oh man. First off, I want to, so the first time I caught your guys' show, and ever since I love watching it. It was during the start of the playoffs, and if I remember correctly, I think Dalton had Tennessee winning that game. and I think you picked Ohio State, but with some reservations. And I was watching it, and I'm like, man, like, what, like, because at that time, I really thought that we were going to blow their doors off. and I couldn't, and like everyone asked me why I thought that, and there was no stat I could point to, there was no data I could point to. My soul was still crushed from the prior week. But like, what was your reasoning at that moment in time? You just want to let people know, because I do think it's important for people to know, like, because that was a very important. I think that was one of the more important times in Ohio State football over the last 10, 20 years. What was your reason for picking Ohio State in that game against Tennessee, that really crucial game?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that video, because that video still gets comments to this day from Ohio State fans. It's still one of our highest performing videos to this day, not for any good reason, because it's just people calling Dolan an idiot for saying Tennessee's going to win that game. But I did pick Ohio State, and I also want to point out I did pick Ohio State preseason to win the national title too, so I'm glad I got that right. But I think the reason why Dolan picked Tennessee, and the reason why I was at least hesitant to pick Ohio State going into that game, was, I mean, that offensive line was not looking good at all. They single-handedly lost that Michigan game. And while Tennessee's defensive line wasn't as good as Michigan's, it still was an elite unit last year. Guys like James Pierce Jr., who was a first-round pick, and Omar Norman-Lott, who was a day 2 pick in the NFL draft too. Joshua Josephs is a star player on the edge too. So that was why we were a little reserved. And I think between the Michigan game, and also the offensive line was struggling even before the Michigan game too. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a big weakness of the team since the Oregon game, really, when Josh Simmons went down with that injury. So that was why we were a little hesitant to pick them. But I thought they did a great job in the playoff of just completely changing their run schemes to playing a lot more gap-heavy runs. And then also, playing a lot better in pass protection, too, against some elite defensive lines like Tennessee and like Oregon and Texas and stuff like that, too. So credit to them, man. I thought Chip Kelly did a great job of changing up the scheme, the run scheme, that offensive line, and then also the O-line is playing a lot better too down the stretch of the season when it really mattered. But that was why we were a little hesitant with Ohio State, because the offensive line against that Tennessee defensive line was on paper a mismatch for Ohio State.
Oh no, I agree. When I look back on it, and I really want to talk about that offensive line. When I will soon here, but no, when I look back on just the defensive lines that Ohio State had to play in that playoff, I had no idea that we were going to go. I didn't have us beating Oregon, and I got a lot of flack from the fan base on that. I do think at the 11th hour I picked Ohio State out of pure bias, but no, man, let's get started here on a few questions I wanted to ask you regarding the 2025 Buckeyes. So first question here. So your 2025 preview of Ohio State, and everyone, if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. The full video, it's a great watch. A lot of information there that actually, if you're not subscribed to PFF, you should probably go do that too, because there's a lot of good information on there that if you want to use it against Teton fans, you like someone is saying that Blake Corum is better than Eddie George, things like that. You can go check it out on. But you talk about how when you went back and checked the PFF over the last over the history, never has there been the two best players on one team. So what do you think that says about Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs separately, and about this upcoming season for the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Listen, they had 14 players that were drafted, which is tied for the second most ever. And when you see that, you think, oh, man, it could be a hangover type of year. But then you're like, oh, wait, they're still the two best players in college football, and Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs. And both of those guys are generational type of talents at their positions. Jeremiah Smith lived up to the hype immediately as a wide receiver, the highest rated receiver ever coming out of high school. Mm-hmm. And, people were wondering how they would replace Marvin Harrison Jr., and then they quickly forgot about Marvin Harrison Jr., even though he's a legendary player, because of how good Jeremiah was. So it's just unbelievable when he can come in and be that good immediately. And then Caleb Downs, I think he's the best player in next year's draft, because Jeremiah is not eligible for next year's draft. Caleb has just been a superstar safety ever since his true freshman year at Alabama. And now back-to-back years, I think he's entered the year as the best safety in college football. And that hasn't happened, right? It's very rare for a player to be the best player at his position for multiple years in college football, considering usually when you're the best player, you move on to the NFL. Caleb's been that good at a young age too, just like Jeremiah Smith was. So those two guys, in my opinion, are the best players in the country, bar none, really. And I think, honestly, the two best players in the country, and Jeremiah's best offensive player in the country and the best overall player. And I think Caleb Downs is the best defensive player in all of college football too.
Do you think that, some people think that Ohio State's defense is going to struggle this season, or I don't want to say struggle, but take a step back, and naturally they should take a step back. After you win a national championship, you have all these guys leave for the NFL draft. It's only right for you to take a step back. Now, of course, the question is how much. So I believe that for Ohio State, at every single level, they bring back key players. Now, of course, at the defensive line position, it's a little iffy because you have Kenyatta Jackson Jr., who did start one playoff game. You have Edric Houston, who I think started maybe 2 games last season for Tyleek. Then you go to the linebacker spot. You have Sonny Styles. Corner, you have Davidson Ignosin. And then you have Jermaine Matthews, who I believe has been the best corner of this team for the past year. And then you have Caleb Downs at safety. But sticking with Caleb Downs, what do you think his impact is for this basically new defense?
Massive. He was a guy that, and I know Jim Knowles is gone now, who I thought was the best D coordinator in the country, but you got Caleb Downs, who is just a guy you could put anywhere. And what Jim Knowles did, especially in that playoff run, was he basically played like almost a Mike linebacker role, but a little bit deeper than what linebacker would play. And that opened up the door for all sorts of possibilities for Ohio State's defense. And he's just an amazing player overall. And just that kind of player where you could put him literally everywhere and he'll succeed. It's just such a valuable player in that defense. And I still think it's going to be a really good defense overall. I think, you have a guy like Caleb Downs, who's the best defensive player in the country. The secondary has some really nice pieces too, like Davidson Ignosin and Jermaine Matthews, like you mentioned him before too. Maybe we'll see Devin Sanchez in his true freshman year, the highly rated 5-star recruit coming out of high school to a corner. The linebacker unit I like too. Sonny Styles, I think, is a top 10 linebacker in the country. And the trenches on both sides of the ball is probably the biggest question mark for Ohio State. But there are guys I think have very high ceilings, like Kenyatta Jackson, who I've talked to a lot of people in the NFL draft community already. They're high on him for next year's draft too. So there's guys to like on the defensive line, and there's guys to love in that secondary and linebacker unit. I still think even without Jim Knowles, and even after losing so many players on that defense, it should still be one of the better defenses in college football next year.
Okay, so all right, the offensive line. So when it comes to the offensive line, I am bullish on them. I think that the interior play was very good in the I won't say very good, right? I do think that Chip Kelly was able to scheme some things up in the playoffs for the new offensive line. Of course, you lose Josh Simmons. You moved Donovan Jackson over to left tackle, but now he's gone. And by the way, I thought him playing at left tackle boosted his draft stock immensely. This upcoming season, you have Carson Hinsman. He was the starting center in 2023, lost his job in 2024. But what do your numbers say about this offensive line this upcoming season, including with the transfers?
Yeah, that's one. Again, the trenches are where I'm a little concerned. I think it'll be an okay offensive line overall. It was an okay offensive line overall last year too. I believe it was the 63rd highest graded offensive line in the country last year. And I know they got better in the playoff, which is key. But you lose a first round left tackle in Josh Simmons. You lose a first round guard in Donovan Jackson. You lose a Remington Award winning center in Seth McLaughlin. The 5 starters right now for their depth chart are all guys who had below a 70 PFF grade last year. And usually like a 70 grade is usually like, okay, you're a pretty solid, pretty good player. Below that is where you start to say, okay, you're either an okay player or a below average player. So all 5 starters are below that 70 mark last year. Now, all 5 could get better, right? We see guys time and time again get better, especially at offensive line in college. But even guys like Ethan Onyanwa, who a lot of people are excited about, the Rice transfer, even he had a sub 70 PFF grade last year at the group of 5 level. So I am a little concerned about that offensive line again, because it was kind of the weakness of the team last year, the one really only weakness you could find on the team last year. And they lost, or you could argue, their 3 best offensive linemen in Simmons and Donovan Jackson and Seth McLaughlin too. So that's why I'm a little more concerned with that offensive line and the defensive line too than a lot of other people are.
When I look at the offensive line, For me personally, so Ethan Anyanwa is going to be interesting to see what's like. It's a step up in competition. This isn't Rice. It's Ohio State now. I mean, you even think about Josh Simmons when he came up from San Diego State. That first season, man, he struggled, and then somehow in 3 games he became a first-round pick. And then you look at guys like Seth McLaughlin. Now, though, for me personally, I told everyone, listen, the guy did start for Nick Saban for 3 years, so I believe he's going to be a good player. But that season before Ohio State wasn't pretty. A lot of snap problems. Watching that game against the Wolverines was completely disgusting. But I mean, for Ohio State, it was fine. I do think that, and that's why, though I believe that the O-line will be better this season, just the guys as individual players, I do think that that's where a guy like Tyler Bowen comes in handy. Coming over from Penn State, a guy that's been good. He's a recruiting coordinator, but also his calling card has been the run game. Not so much developing offensive linemen as a guy like Justin Fry is, but I do think that's where I am kind of happy, because though I am very bullish on Luke Montgomery, I think he's a budding star. For the 3rd year in a row now, I'm concerned about the right side of the offensive line. I'm not sure why it's always the right side of the offensive line for Ohio State, but but I do agree with you though. I think that for the first probably few games, especially, you have Brian Hartline as a new OC, you have a new quarterback. I know a guy that you guys are high on in Max Clare. I do think with a relatively new offensive line, having a really good tight end is a quarterback's best friend. And then, having a guy like Jeremiah Smith, I guess, is okay too. But great stuff there. So my 3rd question, it does have to do with the defensive line, as you were just talking about. So the only full-time starter on this defensive line is Bo Atkinson. That's coming from North Carolina. Like you said, there are a lot of question marks with them surrounding this defensive line. Though I think the first 4, if I'm talking Kenyatta Jackson Jr., Caden McDonald, Edric Houston, Bo Atkinson, and also I'll add in Caden Curry there, because I've seen glimpses of him make plays. I'm comfortable with those 4 to 5 guys. The depth, though, I think that's where a lot of Ohio State fans are worried. I'm somewhat worried. How do you feel about the defensive line and the depth for Ohio State this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's a little concerning considering you lost just superstars on that defensive line, and it was a major reason why they won the national title last year, because of guys like Jack Sawyer and Tyleik Williams and JT Tuimoloau and guys like that. I do like some of the talent they have. I think Kenyatta Jackson, like I said, will be a breakout player this year. I think he'd have a really good year. I think Edric Houston, who was nearly a 5-star recruit coming out a couple of years ago at D tackle, he could be a really good player too. But you're right. I mean, there's not a lot of proven stars right now at Ohio State. Now, they've recruited well on the defensive line. We'll see how those guys do. But I think it's not going to be nearly as good as last year's defensive line was, obviously. And that, again, is why the trenches really is the biggest question mark, both offensive line and defensive line for the Buckeyes right now.
If you had to pick one shining moment, if you had to pick like one guy to like shine this season that hasn't yet on the defensive line of the guys we're talking about here, who would it be?
I think it had to be Kenyatta Jackson. I think there's, again, I've talked to a lot of people that cover the NFL draft and only look at college players as future NFL players and look at them through that lens. And they watch Kenyatta Jackson. They go, yeah, I know it's on a limited sample size, but man, this guy flashes whenever he's out there. So I think he could be the next edge rusher from Ohio State that could become, I don't know about a first round pick, but I think maybe a day 2 selection if he has a great year. Like, I think that's certainly in the cards for him. Again, no one's really talking about him right now because he didn't really play that much last year, but he is a guy that I'm really excited to watch this year as a full-time starter, and whether or not he can live up to that kind of potential that he flashed in limited time last year.
For me, one of the games I look at was the Notre Dame game when he started, because there was JTT was out, and I think JTT is I think he's going to be like a kind of like a Rashawn Gary, where he's better in the NFL than he was in college. Simply because he's a freak athlete, but he was really good at the run, and I was always worried because Kenyatta, he's not small, but he's slender compared to JTT. And like when I looked at that game, I did get some confidence in there from him because I knew that Notre Dame was going to run the ball. Now, granted, the quarterback threw it all up after the first drive, but after that, I kind of, that was the first time I ever saw my team get drilled, like just ran down, scored on. And then I knew we were going to win the game. Yeah. I've never felt that way in my life. That was a funny moment.
Sorry, real quick. We were at that game, Dawn and I, and I remember when they scored, Dawn and I looked at each other, and we saw Riley on the sideline not feeling very well, like you said, and we looked at each other like, this game's over. Like, this game is like it's 7-0 Notre Dame, and it's like this Ohio State's winning this game. Like, there's just no way Notre Dame's gonna be able to sustain this kind of, because it was just legit, like you mentioned, there's just quarterback power like every single play. It's like you can't do that. Like, Riley Leonard's gonna get killed out there if he has to do that every single play. So yeah, and you can see after one drive he was already throwing up on the sideline. So yeah, I'm with you. It was funny to put it that way, saying this game's over for a team that's losing, that you're gonna say, oh, they're definitely winning this game now. But yeah, after one drive, Dawn and I had the same reaction. Like, no, Ohio State's winning this game. There's just no way Notre Dame's gonna win like this.
No, I truly wondered. It's so funny because when they played Georgia, I won a lot of money on that game. Because I told a lot I don't know why I felt this way. Well, I know why, but I told people that Georgia had no chance of winning that football game. I just felt like that I couldn't see it. I'm not a Gunner fan. I think he looks like a 1400s English king. If you look at his profile, but I don't. Wait, real quick. What are your thoughts on him? I'm gonna stop.
So I think he was put in a bad spot because, being inserted as a starter against Texas and against Notre Dame, or two of the elite defenses in the country, that's a tough spot to put in, especially for a guy who's a backup all year. I'm with you, though. I think if I had to bet right now, and maybe with a full offseason as a starter, he gets a lot better. I think it could be a pretty big downgrade from Carson Beck. And I think Carson Beck's a pretty good quarterback, actually. I'm still on
Same
that
here.
I think he's a really good quarterback. I think Georgia let him down in a lot of ways last year. But with a brand new interior, that offensive line I'm worried about for Georgia, first off. Then the receiving core maybe got a little bit better, but not that much better either. And that was a big problem with them last year too. I'm worried about Gunnar Stockton going into next year. I'm worried about Georgia's offense going into next year too.
So, without naming Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Smith, who do you think? Give me two players who you believe can be PFF All-Americans at the end of the season.
Good question. I would say Max Clare at tight end. I had Clare as my number 3 tight end in college football going into the year.
Who behind Sadiq and who else?
No, I had Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt and Jack Endries, who was at Cal and now is at Texas.
I gotta look them up because I always feel like Sadiq is the one guy I always hear.
Sadiq is the guy. I had him 6th. The thing with Sadiq is I think he might have the most potential of any tight end in the country. He just was the backup last year behind Ferguson. So the numbers I couldn't put him at number 1 because of the numbers. But potential-wise, he's going to be up there, and he should have a great year at Oregon this year. But Clare was, Purdue's leading receiver at tight end. He was really their entire passing game last year. And now he's going to be, the number 3 option at least at Ohio State this year, which it sounds like a bad thing for his numbers, but it's almost a good thing too because defenses can't key in on him, right? So up the seams, the guy like Julian Sayin, we even saw in the spring game, Julian Sayin threw a beautiful touchdown pass to Max Clare. I think that connection is going to be really big next year because defenses will, of course, be doubling Jeremiah Smith on the outside, and you got to account for Carnell Tate on the outside too. But Max Clare up the seams could put up big numbers next year, and honestly, could be the best tight end that Ohio State's had in a very long time. Honestly, I can't remember the last time Ohio State had a day 2 pick at tight end. I think I looked it up. It was a long time ago. Max Clare could break that streak for the Buckeyes next year.
And who would be the second guy?
Yeah. So I would probably say I'd probably go with Sonny Styles. I think Styles is like a top 10 linebacker in the country. He's a guy that former safety, former top 5 recruit coming out of high school. He still covers like a safety, and which is amazing for a linebacker. And he got a lot better as a physical run defender too. I don't think he's one of the 4 or 5 best linebackers in the country, but I believe I ranked him 6th in my linebacker ranking. So he could maybe get like a third team All-American nod in 2025. I could definitely see that happening for him.
Awesome. And by the way, on Max Clare, I do think that talent-wise, he's probably the best tight end Ohio State's ever had. The only guy in my lifetime that I could compare to him is probably Jeremy Ruckert. And we didn't really use him. Somehow Cade Stover got used more than Jeremy Ruckert. Never understood that, but no, I love those picks. So, man, last question before you go. How do you think the Buckeyes fare in 2025?
I think this is a playoff team. I think this is a team that can still win the Big Ten. I'm not going to pick them to win the Big Ten, but I think they are definitely one of the top contenders to do so. This is a team I think that can make it to at least the quarterfinal round, if not the semifinal round. I don't think this is a national championship contending team in 2025. I think they're kind of a year away. They have a lot of guys that are still very young players. Like obviously Jeremiah Smith is only a true sophomore. Julian Sayin is a redshirt freshman at quarterback too. A lot of young players. I think 2025 will kind of be a retooling and reloading year, I should put it, for Ohio State with so many young guys in the defense too. I think 2026 is when you see Ohio State make another run at a national title. So I think they're still going to make the playoff. I still think they're going to be like a top 5-ish team in the country. And I still think this is maybe a Final Four team too. But I don't think this is a team that will win a back-to-back national championship.
Yeah. I love my Buckeyes. I love them. I came out of my mom's womb. My dad put a bib on me. By the way, Max, I'm a Michigan-born Buckeye. I'm Michigan-born and bred.
Wow.
But luckily my dad got his degree from the correct university. And it's hard for me to see it, like to pick them to go back to back. I think my choices have been, I said Clemson or Texas. Those are the 2 teams I've and depending on what the quarterback looks like at Bama, I think outside of Ohio State and Texas, I think including those guys, I think Bama is the most talented team in college football. Yeah. But it's hard for me to see it. I do think that if Ohio State were to win a national championship this season, I think they'll be in the same position that 2014 was. That was a year early. I didn't think Ohio State was going to win that year when like Zeke Elliott was a sophomore and Bosa was a sophomore and all those guys. I do think that 2026 is the year to watch Ohio State. Now, sadly, Caleb Downs will be gone, but I agree with you there. I think they can make the playoffs. I have about 6 teams that I think could possibly win it. Ohio State is in there, but I think a lot of things have to go right. You gotta hope that BH is a demon at playing calls. You gotta hope that I have faith in Matt Patricia and the guys in this defense, but you gotta hope that gels together pretty well and quick, especially before you play Penn State at home. You have Texas at home the first week. Tough games against Illinois, teams like that. Play at Washington. There's a lot of things that could. There's things that could happen. It's not that the Big Ten, despite what SEC fans may think, is actually sometimes pretty tough. But Max, I truly appreciate you coming on here, man. I asked you maybe 4 or 5 days ago, and you said, yeah, I really do appreciate you, man. Hopefully have you back on soon. Do you want to let everybody know where they can find you and any upcoming stuff you guys have coming up?
Yeah, of course. So you can find me on Twitter at CFB Max Chadwick. And then, of course, the PFF College Football Show is available on YouTube and anywhere you get podcasts. We're currently previewing every single Power 4 team. Actually, just today we did the Big 12. Last week, of course, was the Big 10. So the Ohio State preview is already up on the channel if you want to go check it out. And we've got one more conference to go in the ACC. And then pretty soon we're making our season predictions for Heisman Trophy, National Championship, and then start previewing week 0 and going from there, man. So we're only a few weeks away now. It feels kind of crazy saying that, but it should be a wild year this year. I think, not to brag, but I did get the last 2 national title winners right, and the only 2 I've ever picked at PFF. I don't think I'm going to go 3 for 3 this year. I genuinely, I had a feeling about Ohio State last year. I was like, this team's just so loaded. I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to go with Clemson this year, but dude, it is wide open this year. So I see any one of a few schools winning it this year, whereas usually you have 2 or 3 schools you're really looking at. It's so wide open this year. It should be a wild year of college football.
No. When I look at Clemson, cause I have people like, really? You're gonna pick Clemson? I'm like, man. All season last year, they didn't really throw the ball around the yard, and then because I wanted to see Cade I wanted to see if Cade could do it, and then against Texas, man, he went crazy. And then I look at the defensive line that they have coming up, and this defense in general. But I do believe they have the best D line in college football coming here. I'm like, yeah, they have the tools. They have the tools. And I still think Dabo is one of the greatest college football coaches of all time.
Yeah.
So, and he's proven that he does not need top tier talent to win it all. You give him a good quarterback, he can make it happen. But again, Max, thank you, everyone. If you want to check him out, go to CFB Max Chadwick on X, and also be able to go ahead and check out the PFF College Football Show. We don't have the Mission Wasserman. So, again, Max, thank you, man. You have a good night.
Thank you, brother. See you later.
See ya. Again, everybody, that was Max Chadwick of PFF, football analyst over there. I'm glad we had him over here. Look to have him on here soon, sometime during the season. And Doreen, I saw you say great show, but I appreciate it. But the show's not over yet. The show continues. We still got some things to cover here. But before we do, Doreen, no. Okay, so I do like this comment from you. Do we know Penn State? I do think so. When I say my 6 teams that I believe can win the national championship, they are definitely one of them. Penn State. I am a Drew LR truther. I think that he's been dealt a bad hand, especially at wide receiver. I think that a lot of people just hate on Drew LR because it's easy to hate on Drew LR the same way it was easy for people just to hate on Ryan Day. I think they have a top 3 offensive line. I think they're going to have one of the best defenses in college football. They have 3 really good wide receivers. They have the best running back duo in college football. And I can't think of his name, but he was a freshman last year. I think number 85. He was one of the best. Is it Reynolds? Reynolds, tight end, really good player. I think that at every position, they are at least a B+ and up. And I really look forward to seeing what Penn State looks like. Aaron, I saw this question earlier. I wanted to make sure I get back to it. What O-linemen are coming back next year? I'm guessing you're talking about 2026. It would be every offensive lineman not named Anianwa. So next year you're talking about Philip Daniels coming back, Sarabelle could come back, Luke Montgomery could come back, Carson Hensman can come back, Tegra could come back. You have Carter Lowe sitting in the wing. Again, 2026 Ohio State is the one you gotta watch out for. That's the one you really gotta watch out for. I think that's gonna be one of the best. I'm not gonna say it yet. Yeah, Sage. By the way, Sage, good to see you in here, man. He says they still have the Franklin factor. And some people like to look at that. And for me personally, do I think it matters somewhat? Yes. But man, I think their team is going to be so good this season. I really do. I really do. But before we continue, everybody, please be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Go ahead and share this out to everybody on your Facebook, whether it be on X, anywhere else. Doreen, saw you did earlier. Really appreciate you for that, as always. But yeah, everyone, go ahead and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel, helps us get to the algorithm so more people can join this show and join the college football community and our Ohio State community here. So let's next subject here. Ohio State did pick up a new commit Jaquaden Quay Guilford, wide receiver out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, a lot of people are asking, why is Ohio State getting another wide receiver? We already have a lot of them. Well, everybody, let me tell you this. I lived in Fort Wayne for 3 years, played football at the University of St. Francis D2 NAIA program. One of the best NAIA programs in D2 history. Shout out to Coach Donnelly, Coach Kevin Donnelly, just retired, 2-time national champion. But I was able to see a lot of Fort Wayne football. And Fort Wayne is one of the most underrated football factories in the United States. There are so many players that come out of that area. Ohio State was a few years, not too long ago. Rod Smith, a running back for Ohio State, also went and played for the Dallas Cowboys for a while. Jalen Smith over at Notre Dame, star linebacker, took that ugly. Wish he never went through that, man. Took that ugly injury against Ohio State. It never was the same again, even when he was on the Cowboys. But he could have been one of the best. He's probably one of the best linebackers I've ever seen in the collegiate level. Very underrated guy. But Quay Guilford, 6'2.5", 190-pound, blue chip 4-star wide receiver out of Fort Wayne, Indiana, ranked the number 50th in composite, number 1 player out of Indiana. And I think that's what matters most. I think that it's really cool to go into other states and get the best player in their state, and that's exactly what he is. I think this kid has a lot of potential, and again, no one should be worried at Ohio State if Brian Hartline is offering the player. That's all you need to know. That means that he has seen enough out of the player to go ahead and say, hey, we want you at Ohio State. Here's the offer. Come here. Come be a Buckeye. Come play on the banks of the Olentangy. And I think that, Brian Hartline sells himself. And I'm going to pull this up here so you guys can get a view of this kid. Again, so talented, and I think there's a lot of room for growth here. Rangy guy. I think one thing I think he's gonna be able to work on once he gets into Columbus, and probably into his senior year, his catch radius. I think that not saying that he doesn't have a good one already, but I think that his catch radius could be huge. Again, 6'2.5". Pretty sure he's not done growing yet. Already 190. He's a big frame guy. Right here, you can see him. He's getting past me. And mind you, everybody, Fort Wayne, Indiana has good football. This is not weak talent that he's going against. These kids can play football in the area of Indiana. Oh, right here, you're going to see him on kick return. And when he gets to the 20, first off, this is what I love about him. I'm going to pause this for you guys because I want to show you something. One of the most underrated things in football is kick return. When I was in middle school, my dad taught me the art of it. Always said, run 10 yards up, and then you bust it out. So I'm gonna rewind it right here because I really want to put some focus on this, and so you can see what he does here. So he gets the ball at the goal line, gets about 10 yards up, boom, makes his cut, gets outside. That's exactly how you do it. Makes a guy miss, boom, and then luckily they have a kicker right there pushing him out of bounds. There's a lot of potential in this guy. I'm smiling watching this because because I'm just a football nerd. B, because I call high school games, so I like seeing how kids develop as they come out of high school into college. But I love seeing what he can do. Guys, hand up, let him know he's open. Found the pocket in the zone, he's off. Look up, guys can't even tackle him. How many does it take? Another play right here. Find soft spot in the zone. Good pass by the quarterback. Again, and by the way, I think that what's also important that he shows that he can be a possession guy. He can find gaps. Look, oh my gosh. Yeah, like I said, everyone, Fort Wayne kids, they play football. They play football. Again, everyone, Jaquadian is going to be a guy that I think by his, maybe his sophomore year, but I think by his junior year, he's going to be somebody that we are going to be called. He's going to be a household name, I think. I think that he can be a household name for college, for Buckeye fans across the nation, across the world. Again, look at that. This possession guy, get all that yak. Really good player. Really good player. Again, Jaquadian Quay Guilford, glad to have you be a Buckeye, young man. Can't wait to see what you do this upcoming senior year. Hope you have a successful senior year. Hope you're able to take your team to new heights. Hope you are able to reach new heights. And we cannot wait to see you in scarlet and gray. Also, everyone, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow him on Next. Let him know that you love him, that you can't wait to see him play Ohio State at Ohio State. Again, I think it's really important that we go out there and we show these young men that we are excited to see them, that we're excited that they chose to be Ohio State Buckeyes. I think that's very, very important. Again, everyone, if you haven't already, I see we got some people that got in here. Oh, my man, Day One, I gotta figure out what your work schedule is, man. We gotta figure that out because I need you. I need your energy, bro. I need your energy. But again, everyone, go ahead, go check out Jaquadian. He's a really good player. Committed just this past weekend. I'm really, really excited to see what he can become. Mike Anderson is here. He says wide open like Michigan left Ohio State's. Okay. Mike, he's a dude. That's his junior high school tape. No one's calling him great. He's a good player. The same way, listen. I would rather Mike he start out as good and possibly become great than he be a high 4, high 5-star guy like Donovan Edwards and then become an undrafted free agent in the NFL. You get what I mean? Someone that falls off the face of the earth, like Donovan Edwards. Doreen says, if not us, I want Penn State to win. That's fair. There's only so many people that I could, like other programs in the Big Ten that I can cheer for. Penn State's one of the ones that, even though I do feel like they are a rival of ours, it's more it's more like a healthy relationship with them, a healthy rivalry that I have with them. So I'm not mad at you for saying that at all. Not at all. Day One, bro. Good to see you in here. He says Penn State will always find a way to Penn State. You just have to wait on it. What's up, Garrison, man? What's up, Day One? Good to see you, bro. Oh man, y'all hate Penn State. It's just me and Doreen here that have respect for them. Yeah, they do. Mike, they do. They have a lot of upperclassmen. Like again, Penn State is what Ohio State was, what the Wolverines were in 2023. It's a senior-laden team with, I believe, a really good quarterback. I know a lot of people are down on Drew Allard, but again, I think it's just because people choose to hate on him because it's easy to do so instead of actually looking at the factors, the things that he's had to deal with as a quarterback at Penn State. All right, we have Penn State Sports Talk. He says James Franklin talks Wednesday. Ryan Day better watch his mouth Wednesday. Come on now. Penn State Sports Talk, while you're in here, in the chat, can you please type James Franklin's record against Ryan Day? Just while you're here, go ahead and do that for us. Say that as a guy you far. Oh man. I love you guys, man. I'm really happy that you're here today or here tonight. They says, please, Garrison, you stay starting with that. What do you? Oh, all right, listen. I did change the time for the show because I wanted to start at 7. I thought that was a better time. But what I am planning on doing day one is that by the way, everybody, I talked about this earlier in the show, but Ohio State, the Voice of College Football, Ohio State Primetime will just be me now. If there's changes in the future, I will let you guys know. But I will be the sole voice here now. I'm going to try and bring you guys bi-weekly guests and then hopefully get that to weekly guests. I'm going to clip it tonight so you guys all see, but we had Max Chadwick the football analyst on from PFF and of the PFF College Football Show here. It was a great conversation. It was good to get his insight on the Ohio State Buckeyes in 2025. But yeah, day one, come on, I'm starting without you, bro. But hey, Day one, we had a conversation about this earlier in a space. I think it was last night. I hate Clemson with the burning passion of 1,000 suns. Hate him. Hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him, hate him. Hate him. But last thing I want to talk about here, everybody. Big Ten Media Days starts tomorrow. You can catch Ohio State, I believe, at 12:45. They'll be the last one to talk. What should we expect? Me personally, these are the things I want to know. I don't expect to hear much about Jeremiah. I don't expect to get anything that we can just clip up and dissect, right? Nothing that we can just make clickbait. But I don't want clickbait. I want to hear how the guys are progressing. Excuse me. I want to hear how players. I don't know how they feel about the rest of the guys on the team. I really don't want to hear about questions they have for the players that will be there. By the way, everybody, it will be Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, and Jeremiah Smith, which is really impressive because Jeremiah Smith is a sophomore, and I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think that Ryan Day has ever let a sophomore, like he's a freshman, I don't think he's ever let a sophomore go to the Big Ten Media Days. I don't even know if Urban Meyer did. I don't think Jim Tressel did. So it's really impressive that he goes there and shows a lot about his character as a young man. But I really want to know what they feel about other players on the team. I would like to know how guys feel about Julian Sayin, specifically from Jeremiah. And by the way, everyone in the comments, please let me know what are the things that you want to hear or that you're looking forward to hearing from the Big Ten Media Days, whether it be from the three players or Ryan Day, or maybe even from other programs that you care to hear about. And by the way, I will be making a video tomorrow. It won't be live, but I'll be making a video tomorrow over about the Ohio State Media Days. So take a look out for that. I will be posting it on X. If you haven't already, follow me on X. It's Buckeye_Gaddy, like daddy with a G. If you don't follow me already. But let me know what you guys want to hear from the players. Also from Ryan Day, I want to know who the leaders are. I mean, again, earlier in the show, I gave a quote from Ryan Day talking about how some young guys had to step up in leadership. And myself and us in the chat, we talked about who we believe some of the leaders can be on this team, especially the younger guys. I really want to know how Ryan feels about that, because I think he's in a different situation now, and maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, because in 2021, Ohio State was the youngest team in the Big Ten and the third youngest team in college football. So the team isn't as young as it was then, but again, a lot of things I want to hear from them. And let's go ahead and talk about this before we get out of here. And again, everyone, love having you here. Thank you for being part of the Voice of College Football, being a part of being the Voice of College Football with myself and this network. Doreen right here says P getting slammed. Day one says Petit is a weirdo, but I honestly understand he has a duty to the Big Ten, so that includes defending scum. Sharice. What's going on? Go Buckeyes. OHIL. Sharice, good to see you in here. And I forgot, guys, I do have other few things I want to talk about, so we ain't going anywhere tiny time. So we got about 15 minutes here. Come here, Kilo. Come here, buddy. Come here, Kilo. But listen. And shout out to my boy TJ. I watched this video earlier about it, and my guy TJ. I'm gonna pull this quote, everybody, because I do think it's important that even with your good friends, even with people that you highly respect, like I highly respect TJ, but sometimes you gotta remind them what the flag staffs of their own program say. So TJ said that, I'll read it from you. Here's the quote. I don't think Jim Harbaugh had any awareness of Connor Stallions. what Colin Stallions was doing. I don't think Jim Harbaugh was aware of the process. And then, my boy TJ goes and bloviates about how it's impossible for head coaches to know everything that's going on. And guess what? No one gives a damn because you're paid to know. So everyone, in that moment, I have to bring up this famous quote from Bo Schembechler. Every coach, every executive, every leader, they all know right from wrong. Even those Enron guys, when someone uncovers a scandal in their company, I don't think they can say, I didn't know that was going on. They're just saying they're too dumb to understand, to do their job. And if they really are and they really are too dumb, then why are they getting paid millions of dollars to do it? They know what's going on. And that's why I always ask this very simple question to Wolverine fans. Is Jim Harbaugh lying or is he stupid? It's got to be one of the two. He's either lying or he's dumb. I do think that, though, Petiti, he does have a job to do. Now, and again, I would say to TJ, back in 2010, the commissioner at the time also said that he didn't think that the NCAA should be punishing Ohio State heavily also. Guess what? It didn't matter. So, again, I don't think that it matters much. I mean, again, Petiti, nothing's been handed down. Like, nothing's been handed down yet. So what are you talking about? You don't know what the punishment is. You don't know what the punishment is. But Doreen says a lot. Like he says, oh no, here we go. Both of them. Yeah, he probably is. He probably is lying. He probably is dumb. He probably is both. And we also know he likes to sleep on high school boys' floors. But again, and but again, I do think it's funny. But again, Petiti has a job to do. I think that my boy TJ and the rest of the Wolverine fan base, they're trying to take this as a victory lap when in all reality it's not. And again, I've never been a hammer guy. I don't think they're getting handed some big ass hammer. But also, I do think they are going to be held responsible for the things that they wrong. And I think that they also forget what they're actually being handed punishment for. Sorry, guys, you hear my puppy. The puppy, he's not a puppy, he's a big dog. But you hear him moaning right now. I think he's supposed to go outside soon. So with that being said, everybody, again, love all you guys. Glad you were able to join the show tonight. Oh, real quick, shout out to Lincoln Keenholz. Even though he wants to stay on vacation, he is the home run derby winner. So I think we should, by the way, if you didn't know, everybody, he batted 500 in high school. But I just want to give Lincoln a shout out real quick, man. You're well deserving of it, bro. So again, everybody, thank you for joining the show. Thank you for being here. Again, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to show everyone else this. Be sure to share it on all your socials. We'll do a large help if you did that. And as always, OHIO.